Hey guys, welcome back to the Scoop Trading channel. So we are just going to be analyzing and looking at DXY, US100 and US30. Exactly the same symbols that we were looking at last week, and we'll just have a little bit of a brief discussion based on just fundamentals as well too. So as is looking at DXY, we are on the monthly time frame. All the zones have actually just been mapped out as is, as you guys can see. But we will just zoom in on the weekly. So on the weekly, as was shown, we have been on a little bit of a downtrend. Excuse me, pushing down to the downside into this crucial level right here, which is a demand zone, pushing up. As you did see on the monthly, this channel is still mapped out, and we are still on an uptrend on a much bigger time frame. But now looking at the weekly, we have actually been on a downtrend. So now, if we zoom in onto the daily, as you can see, has been moving down. So a bit of like a retest, as the same thing as is looking on the weekly time frame. But now, I actually did notice. I noticed something. As is, you are able to actually see that this is kind of a little bit of a channel. There is a completion of an Elliott wave with a five wave structure move pushed to the upside. But now, I did notice that there was a channel within this demand zone on the monthly, which is around here. So what we could actually be expecting now as moving forward is either two of three things that could actually just play out as is. But I think the third one won't necessarily work out as is. But what I'm actually looking at with two options is that we could potentially break this trend line if I do zoom in onto the 1 hour. Because now we've actually reached this resistance on the downtrend. Looking at on the 4 hour, we could potentially break this trend line and push straight and then break this monthly support trend line, pushing to the upside, which could now signify that we are dropping to lower levels, which could potentially be approaching 92.522. But we'll have to see on how things actually play about as is. But now going back into zooming in onto the 1 hour, we'll just have to kind of just wait and see, because as is this channel on the 4 hour, if I just zoom out again, I just zoom out this channel right here, and see all the pullback zones within these areas right here. These areas right here. As is. So you are able to actually see all these areas where there's actually been a pullback and then a push to the downside and a pullback and push to the downside. So we could potentially see a breakthrough in price actually dropping, which dropping down to levels going straight past the 95.92 price, and significantly seeing a bit of push in stocks to the upside as well too, with indices as well. So, but we'll see on how things actually play about. If not, then we do see a breakthrough with this resistance up top here to the upside and actually breaking through this price level, which is 98.507. Then we are going to see a continuation pushing up to this level right here, which will be 101. So we'll just have to kind of just wait and see how things actually play about. But judging based on how things had actually played out last week, we could potentially see kind of just a final break in a drop to the downside as is. So looking at US100, now US100. As I explained last week again, this trend line, which is pushing to the upside now. We've kind of just like broken that as is, but I feel as if, NASDAQ sometimes doesn't necessarily respect long term trend lines, especially on the big time frame, big time frames. I did enter position, which was around here, which I shared on the free community group. I was expecting prices to actually break above because there was kind of just like a trend line triangle formation, which actually formed right here and which pushed to the upside. And then I was expecting price to actually kind of like reach to 23,000 and just like breaking through that price level, but we failed to do that. So now, as is, we are in a consolidation zone, which is around here. So potentially what we could be expecting if looking at DXY based on this momentum, and if we do break the support level that I actually did highlight on the 4 hour, we could potentially maybe break through this resistance up top here, which is 22,891. But this trend line is also making me think otherwise because as is, there's a little bit of a gap that we had during the opening, during the market open, which is being filled currently now as is. So what we could potentially see is that as it is ranging, we are expecting fourth touch, fifth touch with a push. With push to the upside. So we'll have to see on how things actually play about. This is a very crucial resistant zone, which is right here. So be wary of that because we could potentially kind of just see a retracement around here and a push straight back down to 22,642. But I honestly think that there is quite bit of room for it to just like move in. I'm not going to necessarily take a position on US100 because it's just a little shaky right now. But yeah, we'll see on how things actually play about. I think this could have been a really good entry. Yeah, this could be a bit of could have been a really good entry, pushing straight to the upside as is. But we'll have to see on how things go. Usually in consolidation zones, I don't like trading it because it ends up being a little choppy. Can really just price can really range from here and then just drop back down straight to this level as is. And then push back up. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see on how things are actually going about. We are in an uptrend overall as is on the bigger time frame. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do eventually break up through and shoot up, going to 23,000. So we'll just have to kind of just see how things actually play about with NASDAQ. And then US30. So US30 is a very interesting as well too. And I'm going to actually just show you guys right now with my trend lines. As you can see, yeah. So yeah, with US30, I kind of just like saw this information actually play about, but I think this trend line was actually a little much lower down here because I never did place it on share. So when we do pull out Elliott wave, just to actually map out some of the zones, just to map out some of these areas. Just going to show you guys right now. I was expecting a final push straight to the upside and retesting the top part, which is here, but we actually just ended up it being just kind of like a more the three wave move, and then a push straight to the downside. There was a little bit of retest around this level as is, and then price continued to drop. So what I am also going to be expecting with US30 is that we could potentially be in a bit of a downtrend. So with that being said, this area right here could be a crucial zone where we actually come back and then retest the zone here and then push to the downside. If I'm just gonna zoom out on the 4 hour, zoom in on the 1 hour just to show you guys what I'm actually looking at. So in the 1 hour, this is what has been kind of just like been happening in 1 hour time frame. This is what because we have push retest. Price came here, just slightly wanted to try and kind of like retest this trend line right here and then push straight to the downside. So what we could be expecting is another push straight to the upside and retesting this level right here, and then a straight drop, maybe breaking this zone and then coming into actually testing out this trend line, which is right here. So around maybe like this level. Yeah, so we'll probably see a lot of like liquidity hunts and stops actually just rejecting the zone as is. But I am kind of seeing on how US30 is moving, and we could potentially be on a downtrend to the downside. So I'm gonna potentially just like see on much more smaller time frame because sometimes uh, Oof. That it won't necessarily work out as is. So yeah, I'm just going to actually can put this here, put that here, that there. Let's put push the upside. So yeah, we didn't get the final push to the fifth zone, but it's still fine. It was kind of just like more three wave move and continuation push to the downside. So I will be expecting price to kind of like reach this level and zone and retest and then push straight down to 43,736. But we'll see on how things actually play out. Um, Hopefully, we can be able to see kind of this um, a bit of action with this playing out as expected because I am seeing kind of a bit of like an M formation pattern for my what as is. So the retest here will just kind of just give in confirmation based on that. But we'll see on how things actually play out. I was also looking at Bitcoin because Bitcoin was actually really moving sweet. I took a little bit of a short position, but I didn't hold it as long as I should have because I would have been probably just like up like 8 grand, 9 grand as is. And I cut it really short because here's the position right here. So yeah, I kind of cut it a little bit short, but yeah, it is what it is. Um, so the entry was around here, and then 119,102. I think the reason to why I cut it short because it was actually consolidating within the zone, and I thought this high was not going to initially break this area right here. I'm just going to actually highlight it right here. I'm just going to take out my horizontal here. This area right here was not going to necessarily breach through because I kept on seeing like a little bit of like rejection. And then price just kind of just like shot up and it was kind of like an M4 formation forming as is. And I figured that if this neck literally was kind of like close to breaking through, it was just gonna come back to my entry and then obviously come back to this zone right here, which is around 116.813, which is gonna obviously stop me out, and then I was gonna be out. My initial there was actually more of like 1, 2, 3, so I was gonna be up maybe like I think 6, 7 grand if I actually held it through to 120 K. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a little more positions actually um given out for Bitcoin, which is really good because I'm seeing insane volatility creep in. So hopefully we can come back and then just maybe just like retest this level as is, and then we can shoot to the upside and then break through and then maybe go up to 130K, and then yeah, just bag it in. But yeah, I think that's what I've kind of just been looking at as is. I think one thing that I've really noticed with Bitcoin is that you really have to kind of just look onto the smaller time frames when you want to actually just get really decent entries. Because that's when you can be able to see a lot of like formations play out and you can really perfect your entry because I think with this play out as is, you can see there's kind of like a triangle formation that played out, and I entered it exactly on this retest with this resistance trend line up top here and with a spike up. Obviously, I kind of just controlled my risk as is. I didn't size in too heavy, but I did make sure that I kind of just like enter on this retest and then continue with the push up. So I did make a little bit of money or not what I expected, but it is what it is. We'll come back again and then actually re-enter as is. But looking at the fundamental aspects, we are seeing a bit of um, earnings coming in. So quarterly earnings are coming in. I think it's really good just to actually just see on how things are actually going to kind of just look forward into playing out based on US30 and US100. So companies like Wells Fargo, Citibank, BlackRock, they're releasing the earnings as well too. Morgan Stanley's on Wednesday. Bank of America is also on Wednesday as well too. PepsiCo. Um, there's quite a lot of companies that are actually being released on Thursday as well too. And then on Friday we have 3M and American Express as well too, which is kind of really big. So this week is going to be a very big week in terms of earnings releasing. So just be on the lookout as well too with Netflix. Netflix is also really coming out as well too with their earnings on Thursday. So Thursday is going to be a very big week. Thursday is going to be a very big day. And Wednesday as well too. Tuesday as well, because there's quite a lot of banks um, that are releasing their earnings as well. So we'll see on how things are actually going to play out. I did actually look at as well to the calendar as expected for the macro economic fundamental news that could be released. So core CPI is coming on Tuesday at 2:30 South African time. And then on Wednesday we're getting core PPI, and then Thursday is core retail sales. So numbers are kind of looking positive and negative at the same time, but we'll see on how things actually play out. I think the main biggest one is actually CPI. So CPI is looking a little strong, which could actually be very bad for the markets as is, if it does play out in that sense. So we could see maybe a decline if expectations through forecast do end up being 0.3, then we could actually end up seeing a bit of a bad outcome in terms of stocks. But we'll just have to wait and see how things actually play out as is. But yeah, to close off, please do check out our Instagram page. We do give out fundamental and just educational content to give out to the traders that are just trying to understand financial markets as is, and also just gain a bit of like fundamental understanding on how things actually play out, and updates as well too. I do drop in analysis here and then, but most of the time it's more into the free community group on WhatsApp, which will be in the description below. So just make sure you come onto Instagram, follow us here, get the recent updates based on anything that's being dropped, and as well to join our free community group on WhatsApp, so you can be able to kind of just actually log in and see on what I'm actually looking at based on the current price action on movements within the markets. But nonetheless, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative in any way possible, and see you on the next one.